I'm a little bit riled up about this. I don't know if people can tell. I don't know if that's coming across, but I mean, today we're going to talk about with David Dayen about the what Joe Biden can do. And this was actually a project that the American Prospect had done months ago. Before there was a broad sense that there's a very good chance of the Democrats picking up the Senate. And now it becomes even more relevant now that they haven't. Now, Georgia, we could get Georgia. We could get those 2 seats. We're going to talk about Joe Manchin announcing yesterday that he wouldn't vote for expansion of the court or for the removal of the filibuster on legislation. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking to Ryan Grimm from The Intercept about this battle that's going on within the Democratic Party to address its failure to make gains in ostensibly Congress, in the House, but also in the Senate, and also, frankly, in the state houses. It's been suggested to me that it could have been worse, which I suppose is true. In 2010, we had worse losses in the state houses. This time around, we just failed. I think we just lost 1 or 2. We failed to pick up any. But 2010 was an off-year election at a time when you had a very unmotivated Democratic Party to show up in off-year elections, when you had a president who had just passed a signature piece of legislation that was broadly unpopular, a president who basically said, don't worry, I got this, to the House. And so the Democrats got crushed in 2010. Crushed. And so badly crushed that we still feel the reverberations because people left essentially the Democratic politician business because they got ushered out. The Obama administration, or the Obama era, we lost 1,000. I think it is 1,000 seats across the country, down ballot from House seats. So yes, not as bad as 2010, but we can't make an apples to apples comparison there. And to the extent that we make an apples to oranges comparison, these oranges that we have, pretty rotted. And so there's a real problem. And I'm not the only person who thinks this. And AOC is also not the only person to think about this, to be articulating this. We'll talk more about it tomorrow with Ryan Grimm. And then on Thursday, may have a little bit of a debate. I also want to talk to him about what's going on with the Secretary of Defense. And of course, tomorrow is Veterans Day. But my old friend Paul Rieckhoff will be joining us. He's got a podcast now, Angry Americans, but I knew him back from Op Truth and back in the aughts. And he's going to come on the show. We're going to have a little debate about this because apparently on Twitter, he was getting into it. And so we're going to have a friendly debate about it. This is not libertarian level type of stuff. But one thing I'm going to keep hammering, because the Democrats have failed to do this over the past 4 years. I mean, frankly, I don't know to what extent they failed to do it in the past, but and it was less relevant, but the Democrats have been, I have never seen any type of organization so meticulously carry out an agenda in the way that the Democrats did in not tying Donald Trump to the Republican Party. I mean, we could just sit here all day and come up with a list of how they did not do this. And you've heard me complain about this since August of 2016. But it is come home to roost. Joe Biden just, a day ago. We need to, and I understand the talk of unity to the American public. I think that's what they want to hear in terms of the pandemic. But this concept of not even like sort of like articulating, which I find it just ridiculous, that he's going to be able to work with Mitch McConnell. I mean, maybe he can. But to allow the Republicans to take the posture they do, and then for the Democrats to take the posture they do, it's just no one can believe who is sitting in the middle, to the extent that there's anybody in the middle, that you can trust the Democrats to represent your interests when they don't even represent their own. Here is Kayleigh McEnany. Now, understand what's happening. We're in the middle of a pandemic that has come close to reaching escape velocity. We are, now maybe it just goes away by magic. Or maybe heading into the cold weather in the vast, at least half the country more, right at Thanksgiving, is going to be a disaster. But we don't know. We're going to find out. The epidemiologists seem to think it's a problem. And we have a government that has decided we are not going to help the incoming president gear up for any of it. Why is that? Well, here is Kayleigh McEnany, the president's spokesperson, explaining why. It's because Donald's having a tantrum right now, and we've all got to indulge him.
Do you know that fraudulent votes were actually cast, or are you simply saying we don't know because we couldn't see?
Look, what we are asking for here is patience. Rana just mentioned to you the more than, I believe it was 130 affidavits in Michigan alone. We're aware of all the reports of thousands of votes in Nevada that were cast by those who are not eligible. We're hearing these reports. We're seeing them come in. We are vetting them. We are getting affidavits. So right now we would point you to all of that. That information is publicly available. But what we're asking for right now is patience as we explore these equal protection claims, among others.
Can you please give us time to gin up some type of case? Please? It's not like there's something urgent that the president needs to address. I mean, there should be hearings now. We just had a top DOJ official resign. The guy in charge of election crimes resign because he's afraid that Bill Barr has just given basically open license, open season for any prosecutor who wants to, I don't know, make a name for themselves in the Republican Party to come forward with the most spurious of any accusations. This is all to supposedly off-ramp Donald Trump. But make no mistake about it. This is about Georgia. This is about Mitch McConnell trying to undermine Joe Biden before he gets in office. And I mean, don't we control Congress? Don't we still have a large majority? Couldn't we bring Bill Barr up onto the or call him up to the House and say, we need testimony on this. Why did your top elections official resign? We don't even need Bill Barr there for this. But there doesn't seem to be any attempt by the Democratic Party to push back on all of this. It's as if they're completely powerless, as if they do not have subpoena power in the House. They don't have access to the airwaves. John Kasich has too much time on TV, so there's no way we can book a Democrat. Here's Mitch McConnell saying that Donald Trump is within his rights to weigh legal options. In other words, I'm not going to be this isn't hurting me in any way.
So it's time. Let's talk about where we are now. According to preliminary results, voters across the nation elected and re-elected Republican senators to a degree that actually stunned prognosticators. Likewise, the American people seem to have reacted to House Democrats' radicalism and obstruction by shrinking the Speaker's majority and electing more Republicans. And then there's the presidential race. Obviously, no states have yet certified their election results. We have at least 1 or 2 states that are already on track for a recount. And I believe the president may have legal challenges underway in at least 5 states. The core principle here is not complicated. In the United States of America, all legal ballots must be counted.
Legal ballots.
Any illegal ballots must not be counted. The process should be transparent or observable by all sides, and the courts are here to work through concerns. Our institutions are actually built for this. We have the system in place to
I can't
consider.
even hear this anymore. I mean, this is just ridiculous. All the legal ballots have been counted. All the illegal ballots have not been counted. All the courts, and every court case that has been brought, they're not even on the grounds that you could overturn any of the elections based on that. They've been thrown out of court after court after court because there's no evidence. They want you to believe that Donald Trump's election or loss is suspicious, but the Republican senator wins are not. Joe Biden's win is suspect, but the Republicans in the House is not. Because in some of them, only Democrats would cheat in that way. Well, we're just going to do it in the president. We're not going to do it with the Senate and the House. We'll give them the Senate and the House. It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts.